universe is crazy and I don't know what to do. So I made a podcast for me and for you. Pizza sauce and diggly digs, everybody loves the digs. Japanese girls and 80s flicks, rock and roll like Stevie Nicks. Mafia humors, elder rules, telling you what's wrong with school. Bruno James and Dan Marino, talking shit on people we know. Hockey fights and cracking beers, living life without no fear. Oh, my brain, what's inside? I don't know what to write.
Like weird Japanese shit.
Turtles and Hot Pockets. If you don't like those, I don't want to be friends.
Hey, welcome back to the show. I'm Matt Manny. So, anyone who's probably known me for any amount of time knows I'm not the biggest NFL guy, the biggest American football guy, for a number of reasons. You know, I was at a time. But yesterday, oh my God, those games were unbelievable. That was some of the best entertainment period I've witnessed in years. I want to say like a decade. Like that was just unbelievable. Whether you like sports or not, just the human element of it was just unreal. Like I was literally jumping up and down. I had no horse in the race. You know what I mean? I'm an Eagles fan. Maybe that's one of the reasons I don't particularly like watching football. They're, you know, a little bit boring style of play to me right now. But it's also just, there's no momentum in football. You know, the ads, the whole way it's just chopped up. There's no momentum and flow to the game. And for me, I can't sit there and dedicate 3.5, 4 hours to that. It just doesn't draw me in. But those games, really all the playoff games, but yesterday, it was just like Saturday's games were good. And you thought like, you can't top these. You know, they were close. They were competitive. They weren't just like dull and close, like nothing was happening. But yesterday's games were just unbelievable. And like the thing that I was really getting me was like every one of these players, you know, we can focus on the quarterbacks, but every one of these quarterbacks had to operate at such a high level and on such a thin margin of error. Like to be able to do what they were doing is one thing, but then to be able to deliver under the amount of pressure and stress and just the environmental stuff, the stadiums, the weather, whatever, you know, not the Tampa Bay game, which always pisses me off. I see the Tampa Bay game. I'm like, I feel like I'd be more into football if it was like sunny and shit and I could go in like a tank top. I get it. The cold, you know, not so much. Like those Green Bay fans, like these poor bastards. Imagine sitting in that shit. It was like snowing. It was like under 20, definitely with the wind chills, under 20 degrees. You sit there freezing your stones off just to watch that last kick go through. And then you're just like, well, now I got frostbite. I live in fucking Green Bay. This is all I had. Now I just live here. Everything sucks. Like that's the way I felt immediately. I was like, these poor. There was some girl who was like, she was so like Midwest wholesome looking. She had her like big koosh ball hat on and her mittens. And she was just like, I'm freezing. I can't feel my labia anymore. I can't feel my fucking feet, my hands. What are we doing here? And then, you know, this poor bastard has to go home and just probably the end of your team, I would think. But yesterday, oh my God, it just was like, all right, well, that's the end of the game. They couldn't possibly flip this thing around. Flip. You know, I know a lot of people would probably argue that like 25 points scored in the last 2 minutes is a product of, you know, Bill Bird talks about this, like a product of the new age football. There's, you know, you can't hit people. There's penalties on everything. So it makes more offense, which makes it more exciting to the casual viewer because people don't want to watch a defensive game. But look at the games on Saturday. They were highly defensive and still super interesting. I really think it was, honestly, if you look at those last 2 minutes, it wasn't a matter. It was skill, pure. A couple of guys completely blew their coverage because the wide receiver broke their ankles. The dude went this way and then that way. And you see the guy literally falls over and he's rolling. He's wide open for the Bills in the end zone. So it was like, honestly, that was just like high level of skill all around on every single play. And just to be able to deliver, mind blowing. But usually, yeah, not that I'm, you know, I love playing football as a kid growing up and everything, but usually I can't sit there. I don't watch the commercials, so I just mute that shit. And I'm always usually playing a video game. So I've devised this system of entertainment where I'm like fully in a cocoon of just entertainment bliss. And I can just, my eyes, my ears, my everything. And I'm usually playing a video game. And then I have like on another screen, whatever sport I'm watching. I'll watch 4 downs. Okay, that was good. And I'll go back to my game, solve a puzzle or whatever. I'm playing like Zelda. Yeah, just roam around, find some shit. I'm foraging. I'm finding mushrooms and shit. I enjoy that more than watching sport. But anyway, I do that and I jump back and forth. But yesterday I was so enthralled by these games that I decided to actually like sit and watch the commercials. And it had me cracking up because I'm also in a group chat. So that's like my third form of entertainment is like sport, video game, and then comedy, just stream of my buddies making wisecracks. And I found out one of my friends went to this protest in DC for like medical freedom, to protest the mandating vaccinations and all this stuff. He's in a carpenters union, so maybe they're trying to make him get vaccinated, which I get. I understand it, and I'm glad he's out there. Good. I'm glad people are doing that. I lived in China. You couldn't do that shit there. You can't assemble. I don't know what look at Tiananmen Square. I don't know what they would do. I guess just make people disappear, arrest. Everyone saw Hong Kong, basically. You can't assemble like that. And Hong Kong at least had a little bit of, freedom that they're clinging to like a barnacle to the bottom of a ship. But in China, you can't do that shit. It got to the point where there was a story, I want to say even like 10 years ago, but elderly folks in China were grouping together to do Tai Chi, which Tai Chi is like that, just that slow movements of stretching and moving your body, which is beautiful and really good for you. It's a very controlled stretching and breathing process. Well, even when I was in China, if you go to like the subway station and you cut through a park, you'll see in the morning like a group of maybe 10 elderly folks all doing that together. And it's beautiful. It's, there's something really harmonious about it and communal. But apparently 10 years ago or so, elderly folks were gathering in such massive groups that they shut it down because they said it was like, a cult or a risk to, I'm sure they said it was like a cult and not safe for people. But really it was because they didn't want any large gatherings of people, period. It's a threat to the government. So think about that, let alone coming out to voice your opinions on things. So I'm glad my buddy's out there and doing all that shit. But it just had me cracking up because I'm watching the commercials and in the group chat, they're like, he was at this rally for 30,000 people showed up and he's sending pictures of signs, it was like, take your jab and shove it and all these signs and whatnot. And then I'm just watching this Chiefs game and it's like, meanwhile, okay, great. You're at this rally with 30,000 people. They're blasting out these propaganda ads to like 50 million people watching these football games. And they're convincing. They're using like modern mind warping marketing technology. I'm watching this shit and I'm like, I'm already vaxxed and I'm ready to like get up and go find a CVS. I'm like, oh my God, they've got me. This is good. Like, yeah, I should do this. It is safe. It's good for everyone. It's good for the population. I need to care. I need to be concerned with my neighbors. This is science we're talking about. Look, the person's smiling. They're waving in a lab. And it's like, I'm also a video editor. I know how they put this shit together because I've done these projects and half of the shit I wind up putting into these ads and stuff for people are just video segments I find and warp and chop up and cut to make it fit the narrative that I'm trying to tell, which we all know that, but that's how powerful it is. It doesn't even matter. You know what I mean? We know Coke ads are trying to sell us Coke, but they still work. And it was just cracking me up. It's just like, yeah, dude, like 30,000 people sounds like a ton until you realize like the millions of eyeballs that are just sitting here for hours on end, getting just blasted with these very convincing messages. And I don't know, I guess I'm a bit of a cynic, but like I was telling my friends, I had a psychology professor in college. She was like a young professor, this black girl. And, she was saying she used to be like, we were talking about the psychology. I don't even know. Maybe it was Maslow's hierarchy. I have no idea. But all I know is she was talking about how she used to protest and lay between the traffic. One traffic's going this way. She would lay in the in-between segment, stretched out with a group of people And that's how she would protest. And I was just like, I don't even know what she was protesting. I don't remember. But I remember just telling her, I was like, well, you know, if you like got hit by a car and died, it would be like a blurb in the news tomorrow, like protester, you know, laying in the street. Most people would be like, well, what a dumbass. You shouldn't have been doing that. I was like, then the whole world will move on and not give two fucks about your sacrifice. And it was like, I'm not trying to be a cynic. It's just unfortunately how the world goes. And it's not because people are cynical. It's just this wave of information and just the speed of shit. It's like people don't have the luxury to give a shit. Like people are struggling, period. I mean, that's in like first world countries. People are dealing with psychological problems and they're just daily needs of getting your kid to school and putting food on the table and a roof over your head. And then the rest of the world's all fucked up. Like nobody cares. They can't care. It's impossible. So she's just like, yeah. Eventually, I realized that too and stopped doing that. It's just like, yeah, I mean, I guess that's the thing. A lot of people talk about just like young people, not that I'm old, but, you know, people who are, you know, there's nothing wrong with being a dreamer or any of that, but naive about life and you don't have any pressures on you or real realities and you hold one set of beliefs and then, you know, then the world does some stuff to you and you get some perspective and whatnot. And, you know, some of those beliefs change. But, you know, I'm glad my buddy's out there. I just find it funny that I don't pay attention to the world, ads, whatever's going on. And that's the same thing with TV. My buddy was messaging me saying he's watching this, was it Hulu? This Hulu show about like these Native American kids on the reservations. And I find out Bill Burr's in that show. Jesus Christ, dude. He's just like playing a white devil, more or less. He's like the perfect pasty little ginger fuck to be on there. Like, he's like the driving instructor or something, which I'd like to see that clip. It's probably funny. But not that there's anything wrong with that show, but this got me down this rabbit hole of like, maybe I should pay attention to what's on all of these networks. Cause like I only engage with like cable TV when I'm at my parents'. And I do realize there's value to it because I see shit that I'm like, there's no way I'm going to find out about this stuff. Like what's going into most of society, like most people who are watching network TV still, not most people, but you know what I mean? This large percentage of people that are still engaging with this stuff, I only see it there. And I realize there is a value because I see what's going on. There's this show like 1,000-Pound Sisters about like these morbidly obese sisters. One's like 4 times bigger than the other, but I guess they add up to 1,000 pounds. I guess that's how they got the name. It's fucking tragic. It's not like you would think. Like, I feel like a lot of people go into this shit being like, I'm going to get some chuckles out of all this stuff. Like they're going to spin it in a way that it's kind of funny. It's brutal. Like it's so unhealthy. And it's just like, what? Who the hell's watching this shit? But there's a ton of stuff out there. It's mind-blowing. Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, like, you know, South Park makes it's like everything plus. And I started realizing like you can get anything on TV. And I got a bunch of ideas that I feel like are pretty valid ideas. I'm just lazy and I can't get around to writing a script. I have a book on writing scripts and it's like I can't get around to reading that. And then I know how to write it. I've done it before. I have like an unfinished movie script that's like 98 pages already. It's only supposed to be 90 pages. I'm only in act 2. It's a mess. So I'll never get around to it. So I thought I'd just, you know, throw out a couple of my TV ideas that I think should get made. Cause, you know, hey, why not? Everything else is good. Yeah, because I'm going down this Hulu rabbit hole just looking at the shows, and it's just like garbage remakes that I didn't even know you could remake. There's like a Wonder Years with an all-black cast, which I don't know. Fair enough, sure. You know, it's valid. You need to show that period of time through, you know, another people's perspective. It just seems like it's so many remakes and shows. There's a show called like Woke. The thing is, if I put some of this shit on, I'd probably be like, it's not bad. Like, whatever. It's something stupid to watch. But it just makes me wonder. Now that I think about it, probably none of my shows would get made. But hey, why not? So my first show, this is one I've I have like burners in my head, right? I'm sorry, I'm going off on so many tangents, but I have like a bunch of burners, right? And like some ideas that I'm currently working on, they're on my front burner. I'm stirring those, I'm working away. And I got things on the back burner that just kind of live in my head. Like I got like 10 burners deep, right? And some of these, I just let them be in there. And then when I interact with the world, I like something happens to me at the grocery store, something in the line. And then it just like goes like, oh, that's good. Like I could use that in that show. And I kind of just put that idea with that show and it just kind of lives on that burner. For me, it doesn't matter. I'm not really trying to create these things. It just makes my life more funny to me that I kind of have these shows going on. Like, you know, when you watch like Curb Your Enthusiasm or The Office or a certain type of humor, then you run into things in life and you're like, that's like what Michael would do. Or like, that's so Larry. So I have these own little shows that exist in my head to nobody else, but I'm going to try to explore a couple of them. So first one I've had for a while is called Socially Awkward. So it's the idea of like, for a while, I was just trying to get like internet famous, not trying, but I felt like was like, maybe I could do this, or maybe I could be like a toy reviewer, or maybe I could, like a 33-year-old man reviewing toys. Maybe I could, get into building stuff around the house and filming that, like DIY stuff. Maybe I could get into like art and film it. So it just felt like I was jumping around. And I just love the idea that there's like two like college graduates and their jobs kind of suck. And they're like, fuck this, let's try to make it on the internet. So they keep just trying different things. And it's just the show of these two guys trying to make it on the internet, like trying to go viral more or less. And just, they're always hopping around to new ideas. And just all the nonsense that they get into and all the, the epic fails. And the first, like the pilot episode, I had something to do with like a strip club where they're in like the back alley of a strip club and they're trying to like film something with the dumpster or like sneak in or some kind of prank. But it all goes horribly wrong and the bouncer just winds up fucking them up. And like they're trying to explain themselves. Like, here's the thing. You want to walk that line between pushing the edge, like the jackass edge of like people don't know. And then, the cops come, but you got to be like, whoa, no, dude, we're just filming something like, So you want to walk that edge, but these guys don't know how to do it. So like they push it a little too far. Then they have to try to bail out and be like, no, we're filming for YouTube. Meanwhile, these like they just keep getting their cameras smashed and shit. So that's Socially Awkward. And again, I had like a bunch of ideas I just jot down for that of like, they try to get internet famous doing like a prank in a supermarket. It goes horribly wrong or whatever it is. Next idea is called The Sellouts, which this was originally in a movie idea. And then I realized it would probably be a good show too. So like when you're in a band, it's always like you're a sellout, man, or any art medium. It's always like, you start doing commercial work for money. It's like, you're a sellout, man. It's like, well, what are you supposed to do? Just keep struggling and no one gives a shit and you can't even survive on doing your craft. So, that's my view on the whole sellout thing. But either way, these guys, similar idea, they're in a band, they're in college and they get these jobs that they hate, or they realize they're going to have to get jobs and they got this band. So they go like, or they used to be in a band and then they realize like after college, like, why don't we just devise a band specifically to sell out? Like, let's not try to make a band and then we get a deal. Let's just create a band specifically to sell to a corporation to be in ads. So like, I remember one of the insurance companies had like an ad, right? A band. I forget what it was. It was like, they were like famous as shit just from doing these ads. So I realized like, this is an ingenious idea. So these guys decide to sell out specifically to a beef jerky company, and they make a band called Meat Snack, and it's kind of like an 80s like metal, but not totally metal, like grungy rock type of band called Meat Snack, and all their songs are just meat oriented. I actually used to do this as a stand-up bit where I had like just a list of meat oriented songs, and then I kind of let them just sit in people's minds about what they would, most of them were double entendres about sausages, which are also penises, all those types of things. So Meat Snack sells out. And one of the episodes that I had was the beef jerky company goes like, all right, guys, we booked you your next show. And then they look at it and it's like a vegan festival. And they're like, well, they don't eat meat. And they're like, yeah, like, look, the meat market is already saturated. People that eat meat aren't really our target market. We want to target people who don't eat meat. That's the new horizon for where we're taking our meat snacks. So they have to play at this vegan festival, and obviously all the songs are about meat, and these people are just staring at them. And I have this scene where like the crowd is just disgusted and booing and just staring at them. But there's a part in every one of the meat snack shows where they just throw handfuls of like beef jerky sticks out to the crowd, you know, as like a gimmick. But it also goes with the song. So I just have this thing of like vegans staring up at the stage and they're just being like hit with like hit with jerkies and sausages. To me, that just seems so perfectly outrageous for like today's world of just like, we don't want people that are already into meat. We need people who don't eat meat to get on board. Vegan meat snacks. I don't know, whatever. That's the sellouts. It's just their journey of a band. It's kind of like Spinal Tap, that type of thing. But I think that would really work as a movie or as a show. Meat snack. I love coming up with fake punk rock band names and then song names. And like, I don't ever follow through, but I definitely have like a whole note page on my cell phone that's just like punk rock band names and then songs that band would make. I love doing that. I had two more. What was this one? Oh, Finders Keepers. So my buddy Joe has like an airport hangar that he rents from our local like small airport. You know, it's an airport that a lot of important like corporate jets and stuff fly in and out of. Obviously, it's easier than a major international airport. And he rents one of these hangars that people use for their little like small private planes. There's mega hangars there too with like, you know, big corporate jets and shit. But he's got this little hangar and he just keeps like the stuff for his like business in there. We more or less just grill and watch like football and sports and just drink, which a lot of the people there who fly and have a hangar, that's what they'll do if they have downtime in between flying or if they can't take off. They'll like grill and hang out and stuff. Either way, he uses his hangar. Now he keeps his boat in it, but he needs to like buy random stuff to just make it cool. So we bought like this old Marlboro. Oh my God, I can't say Marlboro, right? Marlboro. I don't know what I haven't said that word since I used to like smoke a long time ago. But like when I lived in Asia, I used to just say like jigga, and then like just like that one or whatever. I'd just say like I want that one and point and then use left and right because my Mandarin is garbage. They get the gist. But I have Marlboro. Yeah, I guess so. Then in Japan, there's vending machines with cigarettes, so you don't have to talk to anybody, but you need an ID to be able to use them. So you'd have to just find somebody random on the street to use the ID, and then you could buy smokes. But either way, he bought this Marlboro clock, like old school. It's got this badass cowboy dude with this mustache on. I think he's smoking. If not, he's just standing there. But he looks badass. It's awesome. It's like some kind of thing you'd see on American Pickers. So I realized I could do this whole funny show with my buddy. Instead of American Pickers, it's just called Finders Keepers. It's more just about like trash picking. It's just like him with his pickup truck every episode. And it starts off with him just going, hey, fuck you, Finders Keepers. And like that's the beginning intro segment. And it just cuts to him to like, yeah, I found this sweet ass thing. Check it out, man. And it's just like always a new pickup truck that he's driving. It's always a beater ass pickup truck that he's just finding shit. Him squabbling with people who also find shit. Like he's just getting in fights with people, drinking, smoking, fist fighting, haggling, arguing, like having to have sex with people just to get these items, like disgusting women, like in Kingpin, he's got to have sex with the landlady for rent. But then I love it because like there's a lot of history in American Pickers, but instead with my buddy, it just cuts to him at the bar later telling the story of how he got the thing. He's just like, yeah, then I told this guy, hey, go fuck you, finders keepers, pal. Like that's always his thing, is just there's no history, just him drinking, telling the tale of how he fucked over another guy to trash pick this item. Yeah, really, it looks great in a hanger, though. I got to tell you. It'd be funny if the guy had like self-awareness too, that like he knew that it was trying to be American Pickers. Like he's like, I love that show. It's great. Maybe he doesn't have to have an accent. I think he should have an accent. I don't know. You could do localities, you know, localities. You could do like a Long Island Pickers, you know, you could do a Southern Pickers, not Pickers, Finders Keepers is what it's called. Jesus Christ. Finds an old washer. Instead of like discussing the history of GE about World War II and how GE was a company that started making, you know, after they made military gear, they started making home appliances. Instead, he just tells a story about how like he bangs a chick on a GE washer machine after a Guns N' Roses concert. Like it's just all completely unrelated to anything. It's just trashy. Finders keepers. If you're looking to do a load while dropping a load, this here's your brand. This here's your brand. But those are my shows. I have many shows. I'd love to get them made. If any network folks are out there, don't steal my shit. Patent pending. Socially Awkward. The Sellouts. Finders Keepers. This is gold here. Gold, Jerry. Gold. I got tons of show ideas. Movie ideas. The other movie idea I had was about teaching English in China. I wrote that one out a bit, some ideas. See, me and my other buddy who's like a writer, we'd always get together at this pizza place / bottle shop. What the hell was that called? Damn. Like right down the street from my apartment in Shanghai, there was this awesome place. It was just fridges with bottles, obviously like, you know, international, domestic. And then they made pizza, and the pizza was really good. It was like paper thin. Ingredients were good, but it was the kind of pizza like you had to eat immediately. If you waited like 10 minutes, it turned into like literally like cardboard and rock. It was disgusting. It did not, it did not heat up well, so to speak. It didn't last. You had to eat it immediately, and it was really good. It was kind of shitty too. Now that I think about it, that was like what was good about it, but it was good. But we would like meet up there and decide to like write this show. You know, we're like, we're going to work on this show that we have, or this movie idea for teaching English in China. Inevitably, we would just like sketch some ideas on a single page of a copybook, and then we would just get drunk and eat pizza and get nowhere, which is like, you know, my whole thing, why I can't do anything with anybody. Like my friends want to be part of this. I'm not saying this is great, but I can't rely on people meeting up and trying to do things together. There's too many clashing ideas, and people are just the worst to work together. Like people used to do that in college. Like, oh, we're going to get together and work on this economics project. And I'm like, I don't want to do that like at all. It's a nightmare. I don't get anything done. I can't help but just chit chat with the chicks and look at them. It's like, I'll do the project at home, come after and give you like my work. You can copy. I just want to drink and potentially fuck. Like that's what I'm here for. Like, what are we doing? Which, you know, might have been where things went eventually, but there's so much wasted time of chit chat and helping each other with the damn and class and talking about the stuff in class. I'm like, I just want a piece of that ass. Just want some ass. Just want to drink. I want to party. Some ass. What are we doing? Get the work done at home in 20 minutes. Fucking who cares? Go to the chapter review. It's all about the chapter review at the end. Kids in college, if you're listening out there, check the chapter review, get that shit done, read the first sentence and the last sentence of every paragraph, and then get to the partying. Anyway, what the fuck am I talking about? That's enough of this shit for today. I'll see you next time.
Rock and roll, baby.
I gotta get a Sambo. Here's the thing.
Yeah, man, come on. Yeah.
Everyone thinks not doing shit's easy, but it's not. Fucking
I'm
night.
gonna get weird and go paint some stuff.
That's enough of this bullshit for one day.
Sometimes you just gotta slam them fuckers. Oh, sure.